another Dokkan battle video. So today we're gonna do something incredible that, in terms of TURs right now, only Captain GINYU could accomplish, and that's we're gonna no item every stage of the GT Red Zone with Captain GINYU, and specifically the GINYU Force category team. So, you know, this challenge essentially would have been easier had I been using, say, AGL Golden Frieza or something like that. But we're using only the GINYU Force category to no item every GT Red Zone stage. Now, the way it shakes down, I would say overall the GT Red Zone in total is harder than the movie Red Zone, but the movie Red Zone has got the hardest boss, which is Broly. Broly, because Broly cancels dodge, that really just does make him the hardest boss. Like, it's just that simple. And then he has very unfair other shit on top of that, but him canceling dodge is just, it's a nightmare. It makes Broly so hard to beat. Now, what I'll do for this video, as you guys can see, we have it like super sped up. This is gonna go on, even, you know, super sped up, this goes on for a while, right? It's not like we're running, you know, everyone could see like, oh, like I beat the Red Zone stage, I beat this stage, blah, 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 with the 7th anniversary LRs. When you're rocking LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, you know, next to LR Super Saiyan 4 EZA Goku, you know, all of a sudden you're beating these stages like 10 minutes faster, right? Like, it's just so crazy. The 7th anniversary LRs are just on a different tier compared to virtually everything else, right? So it's like, without having them around, these fights do last a long time. The first fight against Ledgic is completely like nothing. Like, there's not even really anything to talk about. It's just a pathetically easy stage that you just disintegrate with no effort, right? The second fight against Lord Luud, I guess, is a bit tougher. I don't know. I feel like he's probably around the level of a God of Destruction boss, potentially even weaker. We have a pretty bad opening right here, but nothing we can't recover from. It's not until the third fight against Rilldo where things actually begin to get difficult. What I'm probably going to do here is, so, like, you know, you could put the timestamps in the description, stuff like that, and, like, as a pinned comment, so you guys could sort of skip around at the sections. What I'll probably do is at the start of each of the bosses, I'll give commentary about, like, what they do, you know, what I was trying to do against them and stuff like that. Again, for this challenge, I'm using only GINYU Force category units. So our roster of characters is very, very small. It's not like I have a lot of units to play with. So it's like, you know, there's very minimal changes I make to the roster, depending upon which boss we're fighting, right? Again, Luud is just, like, he's just tough. Like, there's not really too much to talk about. Stack up with GINYU. Build up physical Raccoon early on so that, you know, even if his guard doesn't proc, he could be sort of tanky. You know, just some very basic stuff like that. Nothing really too special with Luud to talk about. Alright guys, now we move on to Rilldo. Rilldo is actually very hard. Rilldo is a very tough fight for a number of reasons. Number one, Rilldo lowers your defense in all 3 of his forms, which is very problematic, right? Bosses that lower defense just are inherently harder than bosses that do not lower your defense, right? So that's definitely something that we have to, you know, sort of like work around and play around the fact that we're getting defensive debuffs sort of the whole way through this. Then on top of that, Rildo's final phase is tech, which means he has type advantage against Ginyu, which is really bad because Ginyu is by far the best unit on the team. And then even furthermore, the final phase of Rilldo locks, which makes him a true terror to fight. This did take a couple of tries against Rilldo. I think Rilldo, believe it or not, took me more tries to beat on the GT side of things, even than Omega, because of the fact that Rilldo locks at the end of the fight. The thing about Omega, compared to, you know, other massively tough bosses, Omega only locks at the start of the fight. It's like, Omega is actually, I mean, I don't want to call him easy, but he's not unfair the way most of the other bosses in here can be, right? You know exactly where Omega's super attacks are, exactly how to set up against him and where to set up against him, makes it much easier to beat, whereas Rilldo and Baby and Bojack and Broly don't play by the rules. They're just doing ridiculously unfair nonsense that is very, very tough to go through. So, yeah, Rilldo, the key here basically is just pure luck, pure RNG that we don't get, like, you know, Ginyu locked in slot 1 and then super attacked immediately once we get to the final phase. Trying to get Goku Ginyus out whenever possible is pretty helpful. The only thing about Goku Ginyu that can be tough depending upon the situation is we really do want to stack defense as long as possible as normal Ginyu, right? And then Goku Ginyu gets very ridiculous after he's done his full 5 attacks, and he has a 50% chance to crit, the 50% chance to dodge. He's got the Scouter, he's stacking attack, right? But, like, if we are forced to transform into Goku Ginyu, like, and he gets locked in slot 1, and we haven't built up his dodge, that is the big concern for, like, this fight against Rilldo, right? And the reason why we're able to no-item every single one of these stages, too, is because of the fact that if we do get caught, Ginyu has the heal. That when he switches bodies with Goku, we get that massive heal, which is, it's just really so very helpful to be able to just like get this full heal. So okay, I'm gonna stop giving commentary for Rilldo in a second here, but I just want to get to this part and show. I don't think Rilldo locks every turn, though, is the one thing. I think sometimes he doesn't lock when I was fighting him. Like, it's not a guarantee that he does lock you. Fighting Bojack a lot. Yeah, see, he didn't lock us right here. Fighting Bojack is secretly, like, the most unfair boss in... I mean, Broly is definitely. But Bojack, when you get to his final phase, he locks and seals every single turn. It just is so brutal to get through if you're not using the LR Super Saiyan Gods or the LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And then Bojack is sealing everyone and locking. It just becomes a terror, right? It's very difficult to get through. So, all right. Yeah, here's Rilldo. Again, just sort of play it safe. Raccoon, we gotta make sure that Raccoon gets his guard to proc, which it didn't. Look at the damage he takes right there, right? Raccoon doesn't get his guard to proc. Oh, see, okay, wait. This is like a scary turn right here, actually. So, Jace and Birder, they have dodge, and they have type advantage. I would want them in front of these attacks, but we can't. Remember that the physical LR Ginyu does increase defense on their super attack to the whole rotation, and then they also give themselves a second buff on super attack. If in slot 1, they don't really work that well, even though they can really benefit the team if they super in slot 1. We were able to make this work, though. This is fine. If Rilldo had supered in slot 1 before we attacked, we were done there, because we have not built up that Goku Ginyu's dodge yet. But there we go. There's Rilldo. Now let's go ahead and move on to Baby. right, now, guys, now we're going up against Baby. Baby is definitely really tough, right? Baby has got... The thing about him that's kind of, I would say, like, surprising, maybe, like, the first time you fight him or something like that, is really how hard Baby hits in every phase. We don't really get a chance to sort of, like, set up and stuff like that. He hits ridiculously hard. It also does not help that his starting phase is tech, right? Again, like, these fights that start with tech or end with tech are very scary, because if the red zone fights start with tech, that means Ginyu has not had a chance to build up yet, you know, stack his defense so he can take the hits. If it ends with tech, it means a super attack will probably kill him. Even Ginyu, who a lot of times is, you know, getting to the point where he's rocking million-plus defense and stuff like that, right? A lot of the units, like, why they're on these teams should be fairly obvious, right? Raccoon and Guldo is the best banner unit in the game by far. You know, Ginyu is the best Dokkan Fest TWR in the game. Jace and Birder are ridiculously powerful support with their dodge, their build-up, their support. They're just very, very strong. STR Jace is such a helpful unit, even though he is pretty weak himself in damage he does and defensively. His Scouter is so good. The Scouter is definitely, like, the strongest thing you could do, besides, like, actually just outright dodging, right? The Scouter showing where the enemy super attack is going to be, it just makes it to where, like, there's not really much difficulty, right? Like how do I say it? Like, these fights are just, like, so much easier when you know exactly where the super attack is going to be and you don't have to worry about it. So even though Jace is pretty sort of weak, he is supporting and he does have that. We do have to pop the Goku Ginyu transformation relatively early on in this fight. It can be good and bad, right? Again, because we could build up Goku Ginyu stacks attack infinitely. His damage gets so impressive, Goku Ginyu. It gets to the point where it's just too ridiculous. His attack, like, you know, people go crazy for, like, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? Who can, you know, shoot out, like, 7 million attack stats. Definitely. But, like, Goku Ginyu can get to the point where he does, like, 11 million attack stats. Like, it could get pretty ridiculous with Goku Ginyu as well. And then also, transforming him early means we'll have the dodge by the time we get to Grade 8 Baby. Now, the real difficulty gimmick behind Baby is that when he goes Grade 8, he does an AoE normal attack, which is honestly pretty devastating. Most of our team can take it, though, right? But the fact that he's int is really good for, like, the physical LR Ginyu. Physical Raccoon, if he does not guard, should be able to take the hits. The Ginyus should be, you know, stacked up enough. Raccoon and Guldo can't take damage. Jace and Birder have got a good chance to dodge it. It's only STR Jace who's really in danger. Just the setup of the Ginyu team, Baby is just a good matchup for us, I guess I would say, right? Whereas it feels like Rilldo and Bojack are a bad matchup for the Ginyu Force team. Baby is a good matchup, right? Like a typical Saiyan team could really struggle against Baby, but maybe just stomp like Bojack or something like that. But the Ginyu Force team, it's the other way around. Bojack is just a nightmare to get through, whereas like Baby was just free, right? Like it's easy one try. And besides the early super attack, like we don't really even, I think, take a lot of damage or take a lot of hits, right? So, all right, we get to Grade 8 Baby right here. His super attack is devastating. If it hits us, it does a lot of damage. And then, of course, he has the AoE, right? He could do multiple different AoEs per turn. His first 2 attacks this turn are AoEs, right? But look at this rotation. Loser Raccoon does not guard. Of course he doesn't, the damn bastard. And the super attack. Sometimes he did a double AoE and a super attack his first 3 hits, dude. That was crazy. Again, if not, like just a typical Saiyan team gets turned into silly putty right there. Like, there's not really too much you could do. We have to leave Jace in the middle right here. It sucks losing Captain Ginyu off rotation, but Jace cannot take hits from Grade 8 Baby. There's no way. So there we go. After this turn right here, LR Ginyu Force will do a lot of damage to this Dokkan attack. We've pretty much cleaned up Baby at this point. Now we'll go ahead and move on to Super 17. guys, now we're up to Super 17. Again, Super 17 could be a fight that could be relatively difficult, right? Super 17 for sure. But he's just, the Ginyu Force is a good matchup for him. A lot of our hardest hitters are not using beam attacks, right? So that means Super 17 is not going to be absorbing it and healing it. I did actually dust off Birder for this one. Now, we have to be very, very cautious with Birder, right? He has that really bad design where in slot, he dodges in slot 1, but only if he attacks first. The 17s are actually pretty tough. These two right here, they're not weak. So we really don't want to take any chances. I would like Birder to stack up as much as possible. But there's only 2 phases to this fight. We have, you know, Physical 17 and Int 17, and then Super 17 is STR. Super 17 being STR just means he's fodder to Ginyu. And then it allows us to get Birder out here as well. But keep in mind, any beam super attacks do get absorbed by Super 17, and he heals from it too. I believe Birder does a super. I think that's it. Like Birder is the only beam super that we're utilizing here. Did I bring Jace for this run? I did. Jace is also a beam super attack. And I think the LR physical Ginyu forces, their 12 key might be a beam super as well, but it doesn't matter because Ginyu can completely solo the damage for us. There's actually not, I feel like, too much to talk about for Super 17 just because he's STR. Ginyu will just completely curb stomp him. It's just a matter of like Jace not getting caught with a bunch of attacks. Hopefully Birder is able to stack his defense up before he takes too many attacks as well. You know, just a lot of different situations like that, right? This Super 17 is a pretty tough fight, all things considered. I'm noticing we also had a lot of good rotations like this, right? Where notice how like no one is attacking the end of the rotation twice in a row, so that Birder and Jace were both just completely safe from hits. You know, you get a couple of turns like that on the rotations where you have a weak unit, and it really can make all the difference. But yeah, I don't really know there's too much else to say, right? Super 17's big gimmick is just him healing from Ki Blast supers. That's it. So as long as we don't just pepper him with too many of those, we will be completely good to go. How much damage will he do to Ginyu right here? Wow, he hits very hard. The 240? That's, dude, that's that is a lot of damage on Ginyu, who has been stacking up. Okay, man. Super 17. He does hit quite hard. There's his absorption right there. Yeah, still doing 30k to Birder right there. So definitely have to be careful. Really do not want to get the physical LR Ginyu Force caught, right? As long as they don't get super attacked, they should be okay. Even against how powerful Super 17 is, they should be okay if they're able to get their 18 key super attack off first as far as defense goes. Yeah, very nice turn right here. The Scouter kicks in. Remember that Goku Ginyu has a 50% chance to do the Scouter. So it's just very, very, very helpful when you see that Scouter pop in. It's just so very helpful, right? So, all right. There was Super 17. Let's move on to the Shadow Dragons now. Alright guys, now we're going up against the Shadow Dragons. The Shadow Dragons are pretty long since there's, 6 of them we have to go through. They can be rather difficult at the start right here as well, considering their, again, tech at the start. Tech at the start or tech at the end is pretty bad since Dokkan Fest GINYU is doing so much. Him being, like, type disadvantaged is just a huge detriment overall to the team. But because of the fact that the fight is so long, if we're able to keep AGL GINYU in base form for a while, and he's able to really stack up, he could just really get ridiculously high defenses. A lot of the... Wow, yeah, he ate that pretty well. Okay, the LR physical GINYU, they ate that pretty well. A lot of these Shadow Dragons really aren't that hard, right? Like, Oceanus is pretty weak. Once we get to... what is it? Shenron or whatever it is, the dragon one, the int one. He can sometimes be a little bit of an issue, but we don't have any tech characters on the team for us to worry about, right? So with no tech characters around to sort of get bullied by that unit, or that boss, we don't really have too much to worry about. Nova hits ridiculously hard, right? Nova, of course, being the... he's STR. He's the second to last fight. He's the 5th fight in here. But despite the fact that he hits ridiculously hard, he's STR. So our GINYUs have got type advantage on him. So we should be okay against him. Ice at the end does lock, which can be an issue. But, I mean, I've found that Ice, even though he does lock, for some reason he's never felt as intimidating to me as Bojack or Rilldo or even Omega, like when he does the locking. Ice just doesn't really seem too scary. The times I've done this event, Nova has been the scarier phase for me, just because Nova on that super attack, it does like 1,000,000 damage or something. Like Nova hits so hard with his super, right? So you just have to be very careful and cautious not to get caught by that. On a lot of these runs too, Raccoon, dude. Physical Raccoon, it's like his guard activates and he is a defensive god. His guard doesn't activate and that boy be getting cooked, turned into silly putty. So a lot of times I don't really trust Raccoon, but, there comes points where it's like, all right, Raccoon either guards or he doesn't, and I just got to go for it. I do have him, he didn't guard right there, but I do have him with full dodge as well on Raccoon, because, again, he's here for one role, and that's defense. So I wanted to maximize his ability to sort of like get these dodges and stuff in. This is kind of an unfortunate turn right here, because I guess what we could do, we could put Jace in the last slot, and we should finish Oceanus off. Well, I don't know, it's not guaranteed. Like, if Dokkan Fest GINYU double or triple super, sure, but Raccoon and Goldo probably won't do much damage to her, so this is kind of a scary turn, right? It's like, what do I do with Jace right here? This is the type of situation that can sort of slow you down depending upon what happens, right? But yeah, that's it for the Shadow Dragons. Not really anything too crazy. Just be careful of Nova's big, huge damage. And then, of course, also be wary of Ice Shenron and his ability to put the lock, right? The lock can be very scary if not played around properly. So, all right, let's go ahead and go on to the Shadow Dragon, or Omega Shenron now. guys, now we're going up against Omega. Omega, who, leading into the red zone, Omega was primed, it looked like, to be the toughest boss in the game's history. But, I mean, it's Dragon Ball Super Broly by far. Now, this is why Omega is tough right here. Pure RNG luck that it worked out. He locked and sealed, which is such a devastating combo. But he locked Raccoon and Goldo in slot 1, who it's like, okay, sure, dude. It's fine with me. One major weakness, you guys notice that about this Omega, though. His first phase, you could stun him, you could seal him, you could debuff him. He is susceptible to all of that. This guy is right here. Which really allows you to sort of gain your ground on this Omega, even though he, again, locks and seals. By the way, bosses in here sealing, I feel like I've not seen a single other person talk about how agitating it is. Like, dude, Ginyu is a defensive stacking unit. He could triple super 3 times. Him being sealed like that, right? Like, that could have been 3 supers right there, but he got sealed. So, like, nearly every unit in the game increases their defense when they seal at this point. Like, every, like, modern unit is getting some amount of defense. Jace. Sealing STR Jace is a huge L for us, because he does get defense on super, and he needs it against this boss, right? It's just that because of the fact that we could debuff him and stuff like that, we're sort of able to make it through, right? Like, we're able to seal him, we're able to attack, debuff him, so we could sort of skate through. Again, Raccoon and Goldo, just the god. Like, the MVP of... Okay, Ginyu sealed again. Very frustrating. It's very frustrating because Omega, at the very end, has a kill super attack. He does 1.5 million damage. So in order for us to survive it with full health, right, we have to have, like, what, like 900k plus defense on Ginyu in order to survive Omega's, like, kill super attack. Omega has the exact same pattern in his final phase. That's what makes him easy, is because there's no unpredictability. You know exactly what's going to happen. When we get to Int Omega, he does his first turn, and then the last attack of his second turn, he supers. And then he cycles through that. So it's like, turn 1, no super. Turn 2, he supers. Turn 3, no super. Turn 4, super. Turn 5, no super. Turn 6, super. He just keeps rotating just like that. So because of that, you can always sort of get a unit in front of his super attack that will survive, right? So because that's what makes this guy easy to deal with. Whereas, you know, Broly in his final phase supers twice, and it's random. It's anywhere. You have no idea when Broly's like, all right, you're dead. There's no way to predict it. So here we're going up against STR Omega, or Sin Shenron here. The one thing that's really good about him is, of course, he's STR. So that means Ginyu is going to have a major advantage against him. But we do have to be very cautious about LR physical Ginyu and then physical Raccoon. We have to be very, very careful with those 2 units. If Raccoon gets his guard off, he's great. If he doesn't get the guard off, though, he could get turned into dust rather simply. So that's it. That's the way this Omega fight goes, right? It's just a matter of sort of like having the correct unit in front of Omega's super attack towards the end. If we transform into Goku Ginyu and we build up his full chance to dodge, he could potentially have like a 50% chance to dodge and be able to tank it to where he might only take, like, I don't know, 500k or something like that, 600k. Like, I know it seems crazy, but it's like, we would have the chance to dodge, and we potentially could tank it potentially as well. We do also have Jace and Birder with their 50% chance to dodge. I believe at one point, I think in this run, we eat 2 Omega Supers. Raccoon and Goldo outright tank 1, and then I think Jace and Birder dodge the other. I think is what happens against in Omega. We take 2 super attacks from him. So Raccoon didn't guard, so now at this point, we pretty much, I don't know that we really have a choice. I probably could gamble and go for it and not transform right here, but this run seems pretty solid so far, so I don't want to throw it away. Again, remember, one of the most annoying parts about this is the fact that you have, what is it, only 3 attempts per day, right? And it's like, I'll tell y'all, at the time of recording this, I've been fighting Bojack for like 4 days. I can't beat him with the Ginyu Force team. Bojack, in that final phase, he just locks and seals every turn. He's just too much for the Ginyu team. But every other boss has gone down pretty easily. I've only done a few attempts on Broly. Originally, I was going to make all the red zone stages in one video, but I mean, this is already like 40 minutes anyway, just on the GT side of things, and I was able to get all the GT stages done. At the moment, I still have to beat Bojack and Broly. Those are the two. I've beaten Janemba, but those two bosses on the movie side, I still have to actually take down. So let me know what you guys think about Ginyu, Captain Ginyu and the Ginyu Force soloing the red zone. Again, I think it's pretty clear Captain Ginyu is the best TUR in the game. As incredible as Super Saiyan 3 Goku is, he cannot do this. He can't. Ginyu does too much. Stacking, triple supering, scouter, heal, support, 200% leader skill. Captain Ginyu has everything, right? The only, the one thing is he, of course, just has to be limited to other Ginyu Force members, but like, the full Ginyu Force team is capable of beating every red zone stage. So it's like, dude, I don't know, right? In actuality, there's only like 8 legitimate teams in the game right now anyway. You don't want to run below a full 170% lead. So it's like, there's not really strong arguments against Ginyu as of right now, right? So, okay, so remember, there is no super attack coming in on this phase. We know this 100% for sure. Omega does not super attack besides his countdowns. That's the only time he supers. It's at the end of every second turn. And Omega dodging is just so brutal because it's like it already is a countdown to death, right? Eventually, he'll catch you with the super attack. But see, we get to this turn, I know exactly what's going to happen. I can put Berter and Jace in the middle slot to activate that Frieza's minion link, and then get Raccoon and Goldo in slot 3, and we're completely good to go to cook. So let me know what you guys think about the Ginyu Force soloing the red zone, soloing Omega, and all these tough bosses. Thanks, guys, for watching. Ginyu supremacy, man. That's all I've got to say. He is #1. Ginyu is the throat goat right now of Dokkan TURs. He's too good. Too good. Well, actually, wait, real quick. Raccoon and Goldo, too, by the way. Definitely best banner unit. Because take a look at this bullshit. So, Omega does 1.5 million damage. And they take 130k. What a joke, dude. They're so good. All these units are actually just, like, so stupid.